With India's indigenous stealth fifth-generation fighter AMCA still being a decade away from first flight, India has likely proceeded towards an interim option to fill that gap. As per reports, India may finalize a deal with Russia to acquire the Su-57 fighter jets. Reportedly, Russia has offered not only supply of Su-57E jets but also assistance in their production in India and supporting the development of India's AMCA program. Notably, the talks have advanced at a moment when Washington has also offered New Delhi with F-35 fighter aircrafts. Su-57 is Russia's first operational fifth-generation fighter. Designed as a multi-role platform, it can perform air superiority, strike, suppression of enemy air defenses, and network-centric operations. It prioritizes speed, maneuverability, and a large combat radius alongside stealth. Whereas the US F-35 is among the most sophisticated combat aircraft ever built. Its sensor fusion and low observable design give it capabilities no other aircraft currently matches in operational service. The critical difference for India, however, is not technical but political. The F-35 comes tied with American end-user agreements and the requirement to use US-approved maintenance systems. Washington would retain significant oversight over how, where, and against whom India deploys the aircraft. Russia, by contrast, reportedly has been more willing to offer co-production, technology transfer, and joint servicing arrangements. But is Su-57 worth the amount India is going to pay? If compared against peers currently in service, the Su-57 occupies a contested middle ground. Chinese J-20 is the Su-57's most relevant regional competitor. Notably, Pakistan has been pursuing China for a deal of fifth-generation aircraft, which can either be J-20 or J-35. India's primary concern about fifth-generation aviation is Pakistan getting a Chinese fifth-gen aircraft, but Su-57 was not specifically designed to defeat or counter it. While against the F-35, the Su-57 likely concedes stealth performance but offers superior raw speed and altitude performance, attributes that matter in certain combat scenarios, particularly in air-to-air engagements at range. Against fourth-generation plus fighters like the Rafale, the Su-57 offers meaningful stealth advantages, but the gap in overall combat effectiveness is narrower than the generational label implies. The Rafale, which India already operates, is an exceptional aircraft in its own right. The practical concern about the Su-57 is less about its paper specifications and more about the Russian defense industry's current state, spare parts availability, and the question of whether Moscow can sustain an export program of this complexity while simultaneously fighting a major land war. But the harder question for India will be what happens to its AMCA program. A Su-57 purchase would not necessarily kill AMCA, but it would inevitably affect it. Importing a fifth-generation platform can reduce the urgency that may have fueled domestic innovation. The case for a bridging purchase is real and should not be dismissed. India's Air Force needs stealth capability now, and AMCA cannot provide it for a decade. But the terms of any such deal and the explicit commitment to protect AMCA's funding and timeline will determine whether a foreign purchase is a pragmatic stopgap or a quiet surrender of India's most important long-term aerospace ambition.